Hey, what's up, readers? Welcome back to DRABS, Dad Reads a Bedtime Story. On tonight's episode, we're finishing up Forever Friends, Jasmine's Big Idea from the American Girl series. The last time we left this, we were on Chapter 8, A Major Mistake. So, without further ado, let's get right back into it. Chapter 8, A Major Mistake. The weather could not have been more beautiful on the day of the carnival. Jasmine and her parents, along with many of the other regular shelter volunteers, arrived early to help set up. Jasmine's dad helped her hang the wanted posters all around the park. Then they draped the colorful crepe paper streamers from tree branches. Everything looked very festive. Mrs. Wallace buzzed around, a clipboard in hand. "Hi, Jasmine," she called out as she hurried by. "You and your family are doing a great job with the decorations. And tell your mom I said thanks so much for taking care of the food." The food? Jasmine thought. What food? Just then, her mom greeted someone behind Jasmine. Jasmine spun around. "Tia Alicia?" she said in surprise. "What are you doing here?" "Your mother told me how much you're doing to help the animal shelter, and I wanted to help out too," her aunt said as she wrapped Jasmine in a big hug. "So I agreed to donate food for the carnival." She gestured to the table behind her, where servers from El Coqui Cafe, her aunt's Caribbean restaurant, were busy unloading a van. They set up aluminum trays filled with empanadas, yellow rice, and roasted meats. There were also pitchers of lemonade and iced tea and trays of fresh fruit. "Wow," Jasmine said. "Thank you, Tia Alicia." Her mouth watered at the sight of all that delicious traditional Puerto Rican food. There were even two trays of Jasmine's favorite dish, sweet plantains. She watched many times as her aunt cut off the hard peel of the plantains, which looked like long bananas, and sliced the plantains into small flat pieces, then fried them until they were golden brown. "I have to get back to that cafe," her aunt said. "I have to get back to the cafe," her aunt said as she kissed Jasmine. "But I wanted to be sure it all got here on time." "I just saw Madison, Sophia, and Keiko in the arts and crafts corner," said Jasmine's mother. "Why don't you go see if your friends could use some help?" "Okay, see you later," Jasmine said as she walked across the park. She noted the bounce castle and petting zoo in one corner. There were fluffy ducklings, two sheep, a goat, and even a small pony giving children rides in a little loop. Then there was a donation tent where the people could buy t-shirts, make a donation, or enter the raffle. There was a games tent and even a small stage where a local band was setting up their instruments. The carnival looked even more wonderful than Jasmine had imagined. As Jasmine approached the arts and crafts corner, she saw an adult volunteer running the spin art station, which already had a line of 5 or 6 kids waiting to make a painting. Nearby, several picnic tables were set up with cups of crayons, colored pencils, and stacks of paper. Keiko, Sophia, and Madison were huddled together there, whispering. "Hey guys," Jasmine called with a wave. But when the girls saw her, instead of waving back, they quickly broke their huddle. Madison snatched the paper they'd been looking at and hid it behind her back. They then turned and faced Jasmine, shoulder to shoulder. "Oh, hi," Sophia said, shifting her eyes to Keiko, who glanced at Madison. Sensing that something was off, Jasmine shuffled her feet uncertainly. What's going on?" Keiko blinked innocently. "What do you mean? Nothing's going on." Don't you love how Mrs. Wallace turned our arts and craft corner into an art gallery?" Madison asked, changing the subject. "An art gallery?" Jasmine asked. Keiko stepped back and pointed at a bunch of drawings and some of the shelter animals that were now hanging from colored yarn strung between two trees. "Jasmine?" Keiko asked, puzzled. "Don't you like the art gallery?" "Oh, it's great," Jasmine said, focusing on the drawings, which were clipped up with cute plastic clothespins. She recognized a picture of Frankie and one of the 5 kittens drawn in a crooked orange crayon. "After kids come here to draw the pictures of the animals," Keiko said, "we post them on this board for people to buy. All the money goes to the shelter. Isn't that awesome?" Jasmine nodded. She loved the art gallery, but it still felt like her friends were hiding something. "What's that in your hand?" Jasmine asked Madison. "Is it another picture?" Madison's eyes went wide. "It's nothing, just something I have to give my mom." She glanced off in the distance. "I think I hear her calling me now. I'll be right back." With that, she took off like a shot. As she ran, Sophia and Keiko struggled to hold in their giggles. Jasmine's stomach twisted. Were they laughing at her? "What's so funny?" she demanded. "What are you leaving me out of now?" Keiko wrinkled her nose in confusion. "What do you mean? When did we leave you out?" Well, you didn't include me when you decided to try walking Sadie at the shelter, Jasmine said sadly. And you never told me Madison was in your art class. And now the three of you are laughing at me. Sophia shook her head. We're not laughing at you, Madison just. I don't want to hear any more about Madison, Jasmine cried. I wish it was just us again. Suddenly, Kiko glanced past Jasmine and her eyes widened. When Jasmine turned to follow her gaze, she found Madison standing right behind her. She returned just in time to hear Jasmine. Without saying a word, Madison bowed her head, turned around, and quickly walked away. Jasmine didn't need to see Madison's eyes to know they were probably full of tears. Jasmine felt awful. Even worse, when she turned back to her friends, she saw the same hurt expressions on their faces. Jasmine stood there for a moment, not sure what to say. Finally, she turned and walked away. She knew she had messed up. She had just been honest, but she hadn't meant for Madison to hear. Was everyone mad at her now? All right, Chapter 9, A New Forever Friend. Jasmine found a quiet bench to sit on. She ran her finger over the dog biscuit-shaped necklace. What a day this was turning out to be. Can I sit with you? Someone asked. Jasmine glanced up to see Kiko. Of course you can, Jasmine said. She scooted over to make room. Is there space for me too? Another voice chimed in. Jasmine smiled as she slid over to make a spot for Sophia as well. Kiko handed Jasmine a brown manila envelope with Jasmine written in swirly glitter ink. We were saving this for the end of the carnival, but I think you should open it now, Kiko said. She handed it to Jasmine. Jasmine opened the envelope to find a giant homemade card. On the front was a drawing of Jasmine holding Cookie and smiling. It looked like something Kiko had drawn. She opened the card and gasped. Every inch was covered in ink. All the shelter volunteers had signed it. They left little notes thanking her for her hard work. Sophia, Madison, and I wanted to thank you for getting us involved with the shelter and carnival, Keiko explained. So we got everyone to sign the card and make a donation to the shelter in your name. Jasmine was stunned. Wow, this is the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. Thank you both so much. You're welcome, Sophia said, but really, you should thank Madison. It was her idea. Madison's idea? Jasmine asked. Maybe you should read what she wrote, Kiko suggested, pointing to a scribbled message near the bottom left corner. Dear Jasmine, thank you for helping me with Frankie and for being my friend. It means a lot to me, and thank you for sharing your friends, Kiko and Sophia. Love, Madison. We were finishing the card up when you surprised us at the art station. I'm sorry you thought we were doing something fun without you, Sophia said. We wanted to keep it a secret so we could give it to you as a present. I'm sorry too, Jasmine cried. She threw her arms around Sophia. Then she turned to hug Kiko. I feel really bad for what I said about Madison. I have to go find her and apologize. She jumped up from the bench. Will you both go with me? She asked. Of course, Kiko responded. That's what friends are for, Sophia added. Kiko, Jasmine, and Sophia walked across the park looking for Madison. After a few minutes, they found her outside the adopt-a-cat trailer. She was checking up on the 5 stray kittens who were curled up in a cage with one of Jasmine's wanted, a new home posters next to it. Hi, Madison, Jasmine said. I wanted to thank you for this. She held up the card. This is one of the nicest things anyone's ever done for me, and Kiko said it was your idea. Madison straightened up and smiled shyly. You're welcome, she said. I wanted to do something for you since you've done so much for the shelter and for me. For you? Jasmine asked, surprised. I don't feel like I did anything nice for you. I'm really sorry about what I said. I didn't mean it. I just thought you, Sophia, and Kiko were having more fun without me around. I'm sorry too, Madison exclaimed. I didn't mean for our surprise to make you feel left out. I was just so happy to meet all of you at the shelter and find friends who liked animals as much as me. No one at my school is like that. Madison's shoulders drooped. Really? Sophia asked. Yeah, Madison said. I'm known at school for being, well, a little too into animals. What do you mean? Jasmine asked, puzzled. She didn't think it was possible to love animals too much. Well, my school used to have some classroom pets, mostly mice and hamsters, in cages, Madison explained. They were meant for us to learn about animals, but to me they looked sad and locked up like that. So one day when the teacher wasn't looking, I set them free. Jasmine's eyes bulged. You didn't. I did, Madison said. But what if the animals couldn't take care of themselves on their own? Jasmine asked. I didn't think about that at the time, Madison replied. I now know that it was a big mistake, but then Well, I thought I was helping them. Jasmine knew how Madison felt. She had made a similar mistake when she suggested a balloon arch as a carnival decoration. It was important to think things through, especially where animals were concerned. Anyway, my mom decided I needed a place to go show my love for animals in a better way, Madison continued. We're moving here next month, and my mom thought I might also meet some friends in our new neighborhood. I'm finishing the year at my old school, but next fall I'll be at the same school as you, Kiko, and Sophia. Really? Kiko said. This is great news. I didn't think so at first, Madison admitted. I was scared to move here and be the new girl starting at a different school. It's hard not knowing anyone. Jasmine tried to picture what that would be like. She'd always lived in the same place with the same people, and she'd known her best friends for years. It would be scary to start over somewhere new. That's why when I met all of you, I tried really hard to become instant best friends. Maybe too hard, Madison explained. I just liked you all so much. But we liked you too, Jasmine insisted. Friends, she held out her pinky. Madison hooked her pinky around Jasmine's. Friends, she agreed. The girls grinned. Sophia cleared her throat. I hate to break up this touching moment, but can we please check in on some animals soon? My parents are here, but they haven't even seen me with any dogs or cats. At this rate, I'll never get a dog. All right, we'll go ahead and try to finish it out here. Looks like. Chapter 10, Terrific Teamwork. The four girls were about to step inside the Adopt-A-Cat trailer to see if they could help there when Mrs. Wallace flagged them down. Girls, she said breathlessly, there's a long line at the petting zoo. Do you think you could head over there to help? We're on it, Jasmine said eagerly as she and her friends changed course. The animal handlers who had set up the petting zoo waved the girls past the line of families waiting to get inside a roped-off area that held the ducks, sheep, and goats. What can we do? Madison asked one of the handlers. Just make sure everyone's happy while they're waiting in line and that they head outside of the ropes once they've had their turn, he said. Together, the four girls worked as a team. Madison helped keep the line moving by handing out paper cups of food pellets to the kids who wanted to feed the goats and sheep, while Keiko snapped pictures of the kids petting the ducklings. Since Jasmine knew the most about the animals, she told the kids a little bit about each one and ushered them out when they were done. Meanwhile, Sophia helped the younger children climb on and off the Shetland pony before and after their rides. She even cleaned up after the pony and held the lead rope while the pony handler lifted the kids on and off. Jasmine saw Sophia's parents watching her from afar. They looked impressed. Soon, the line at the petting zoo was much shorter and the girls were free to go. They were heading back to the Adopt-A-Cat trailer when Mr. Wallace stepped up to the microphone on the stage. Would everyone please gather around, he announced. It's time for another raffle. The girls headed toward the stage where they joined up with Jasmine's dad and Sophia's parents. Mrs. Wallace and Jasmine's mother were standing on the stage behind the microphone, holding a large glass bowl full of tiny red tickets. When Mrs. Wallace noticed the girls walked up, she tapped the microphone. She cleared her throat. Please get out your raffle tickets, she said. People in the crowd reached into their pockets or wallets and pulled out the red ticket stubs they had bought to enter the raffle. Dr. Arroyo held the bowl while Mrs. Wallace reached inside and drew out a ticket. Number 1358, she called into the microphone. A girl near the front screamed, That's me, and climbed onto the stage where she received movie tickets and a tub of popcorn. Mrs. Wallace called another number and someone won tickets to a baseball game. When Mrs. Wallace called the final number, the winner was someone Jasmine knew, Sophia's mom. Sophia's mom looked a bit sheepish as she accepted the prize from a local pet store, a dog bed, water and food dish, and a shiny dog collar, a bag of food, and a brush. We don't even have a dog, she whispered to Mrs. Wallace as she stepped off the stage. It's a sign, Jasmine shouted. It's a coincidence, Kiko countered dryly. It's perfect, Sophia said, rubbing her hands together happily. One more reason for them to get me a dog someday. Once all the fanfare from the raffle died down, Mrs. Wallace continued. I want to thank you all so much for coming out today to support Rosa's Refuge. Everyone clapped politely. Thanks to this wonderful community, we have raised the money we need to expand the shelter. This time the crowd whooped and cheered, especially Jasmine and her friends. We couldn't have pulled this off without every one of you pitching in, Mrs. Wallace said. I'd like to thank my friend Justin Wheeler for providing the animals in the petting zoo, the El Coqui Cafe for donating the delicious food, And of course, I'd like to thank all my volunteers. But right now, I'd like to thank four of our most dedicated volunteers. They had the idea to make the fantastic posters you've seen around the park featuring our shelter animals in need of homes. Thanks to Keiko Hayashi, Sophia Davis, Madison Rosen, and Jasmine Arroyo, we may have found many of our furry friends forever homes. Come on up here, girls, and take a bow. Jasmine and her friends made their way to the stage. The entire crowd was clapping and cheering for them. It felt amazing, but knowing that they'd help the animals felt even better. The next weekend, Jasmine, Sophia, Kiko, and Madison were at the shelter bright and early Saturday morning. At the end of their shift, Jasmine had a surprise for Madison. Sophia, Kiko, and I wanted to get you a real welcome present so you'll always feel at home here in your new town, Jasmine explained. She handed Madison a small box wrapped in glossy paper decorated with cats. Open it, Kiko cried, barely able to contain her excitement. Madison tore away the paper and opened the box. Inside was a simple silver chain with a kitten charm engraved with her name. It was the same type of charm as the ones Jasmine, Sophia, and Kiko had. Madison squealed. I love it. Good, Jasmine said with a smile, because we're all best friends forever now. Yeah, good luck getting rid of us, Sophia added, as Jasmine watched Madison slip her new necklace over her head. She felt like the luckiest girl in town. Not only had she helped the animal shelter, but she had found a new friend as well, one who loved animals as much as she did. The end. All right, family, we finished Forever Friends, Jasmine's Big Idea from the American Girl series. So, thank you guys for staying with us tonight. It was a bit of a longer one. We'll see you guys tomorrow night on DRABS, Dad Reads a Bedtime Story. Later, fam.